Lucy Winters stood at the docking bay window, watching as the transport ship that had brought her here disappeared into the swirling purple clouds of Nexus Prime. There was no going back now. The metal floor beneath her boots hummed with the station's artificial gravity generators, set to a standard that made her feel oddly light. Earth's pull was stronger, harsher. Like everything else about her home planet, the Galactic Federation Military Academy loomed before her, a massive structure of gleaming metal and crystalline towers that stretched across the small moon's surface. For 500 years, it had produced the finest officers and soldiers in the galaxy. And now, for the first time, a human would walk its halls. Cadet Winters? A voice called from behind. Lucy turned to see a blue-skinned humanoid in a crisp uniform approaching. His eyes, 3 of them arranged in a triangle, blinked in sequence as he consulted a datapad. "I am Lieutenant Ben Adams, your processing officer. Please follow me." Lucy nodded, hoisting her single bag over her shoulder. She followed the lieutenant through wide corridors where beings of various shapes, sizes, and colors moved with purpose. Many slowed to stare at her. Some whispered behind webbed hands or tentacles. A few made gestures that needed no translation across species contempt, curiosity, amusement. "They've never seen a human before," Lieutenant Adams explained, noticing her awareness of the attention. Earth was classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. Most thought your kind would never leave your solar system, let alone join the Federation. "We're full of surprises," Lucy said quietly. The lieutenant led her to a large chamber marked Cadet Processing. Inside, various stations were set up for equipment distribution, medical screening, and administrative tasks. Lucy was directed to a medical scanner. First Dr. William Harris was a thin man with pale green skin and long fingers that moved with precise, quick movements. "Stand still," he instructed, running a handheld device up and down her body. He frowned. At the readings, tapped the device against his palm, and scanned her again. "Is something wrong?" Lucy asked. "This equipment must be malfunctioning," Dr. Harris muttered. He adjusted several settings and tried a third time. His frown deepened. "These readings cannot be correct for a sentient species." "What readings?" Lucy asked. "Bone density, muscle fiber composition, lung capacity, cellular regeneration rate," he listed, still staring at the device. "According to this, your body could withstand pressures that would crush most cadets. Your reaction speed is ... double quotes." He shook his head. "No, this can't be right." A commotion at the entrance drew their attention. Admiral George Patterson had arrived, flanked by several senior officers. The admiral was tall, with 4 arms and a ridge of bony plates running down the center of his head. His uniform bore countless medals and insignia of authority. "So this is the human," he said, approaching Lucy. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Smaller than I expected." Lucy stood at attention, keeping her expression neutral despite the dismissive tone. "Cadet Lucy Winters, sir, reporting for duty." "At ease, Cadet." Admiral Patterson circled her slowly. "The Federation Council insisted we accept a human candidate as a gesture of goodwill. I objected, naturally. This academy has standards to maintain." "I understand, sir," Lucy replied. "I'll do my best to meet those standards." One of the officers behind the admiral, a woman with scaled skin and yellow eyes, leaned forward. "Admiral, perhaps we should review Dr. Harris's initial findings before." "Captain Cara Martinez, you'll have plenty of time to evaluate this cadet's capabilities," the admiral interrupted. "She's been assigned to your training squad." "Captain." Martinez's scales shifted color slightly, a sign of displeasure that Lucy recognized from her briefings on alien biology. "Yes, Admiral." After processing was complete, Lucy was escorted to the cadet quarters by a junior officer. The dormitory was arranged in pods, with 4 cadets sharing common space. When Lucy entered her assigned pod, 3 pairs of eyes turned to stare at her. "You must be the human," said a tall, willowy cadet with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. "I'm Olivia Brooks, low-gravity adaptation specialist." Her handshake was delicate, as though afraid of breaking something. "Lucy Winters." She set her bag down on the unoccupied bunk. "They actually let a primitive join the academy," muttered another cadet, a stocky male with ridged forehead plates. "No offense, but your species only discovered faster-than-light travel what, 50 years ago? We've been crossing galaxies for millennia." "Shut up, Greg," said the third roommate, a humanoid female with purple hair that moved on its own. "I'm Zoe Campbell. Don't mind him. We're all just surprised to see a Deathworlder here." Lucy began unpacking her few belongings. What exactly does that mean? Deathworlder? Zoe's animated hair curled with excitement at the question. "Your planet is classified as hostile to most sentient life. High gravity, toxic oxygen levels, extreme temperature variations, dangerous wildlife, microscopic pathogens everywhere. Honestly, it's amazing you evolved intelligence before getting eaten by something. Earth isn't so bad once you get used to it," Lucy said with a small smile. An alarm sounded, and all cadets stood at attention. The door slid open to reveal Captain Martinez. "Evening inspection," she announced, her yellow eyes scanning the room. Before settling on Lucy, "Cadet Winters, I see you've met your podmates. Get settled quickly. Physical assessment begins at 0600 hours tomorrow." She paused, then added, "The first week typically eliminates 20% of new recruits. Given your planet of origin, I'd suggest preparing for an early departure." After the captain left, Olivia sat beside Lucy. "Don't let her scare you. Martinez is tough on everyone." "I'm not scared," Lucy replied, continuing to arrange her belongings with methodical precision. That night, Lucy lay awake, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the academy. The air recyclers hummed at a higher pitch than Earth's. The gravity felt like walking in chest-deep water, resistance present, but manageable. Her enhanced hearing picked up conversations several rooms away, discussions about classes, competitions, and the curious human who would surely wash out within days. Morning came quickly. Lucy rose before her podmates, completed her hygiene routine, and dressed in the cadet uniform provided. The material felt strange against her skin, designed for different physiologies, but it would serve its purpose. The physical assessment took place in an enormous gymnasium with equipment designed to test various attributes. Cadets from all first-year squads gathered, separated into lines based on their homeworld classifications. "Deathworlders, Section 5, an instructor called out. Lucy walked alone to Section 5. No other cadets joined her. "Just you, Winters?" Captain Martinez approached, datapad in hand. "Let's see what Earth has to offer." The first test was a simple endurance run. Lucy joined 30 other cadets on a track that changed elevation, temperature, and gravity as they ran. One by one, cadets began dropping out, their bodies unable to adjust to the rapid environmental shifts. Lucy kept running, her breathing steady, her stride even. She noticed the instructors watching her with increasing interest as she completed lap after lap without showing signs of fatigue. "Enough," Captain Martinez called when only Lucy and 2 others remained. The captain's scales had shifted to a deeper color. "Impressive, Cadet Winters. Perhaps there is something to be said for Deathworld evolution after all." By midday, Lucy had completed strength assessments, flexibility tests, and reaction time measurements. Each time, the instructors recalibrated their equipment, convinced it was malfunctioning. Each time, Lucy performed at levels that defied their expectations. In the afternoon, the mental assessments began. Tactical simulations, mathematical problems, memory tests. Lucy worked through them methodically, her mind as sharp as her body was strong. When the day ended, Lucy returned to her pod to find her roommates waiting eagerly. "Is it true?" Zoe asked, her hair writhing with excitement. "Did you really break the first day strength assessment record?" Lucy shrugged. "I just did what felt normal." "Normal?" Greg scoffed, but there was a new respect in his voice. "The instructors are saying your normal is unlike anything they've seen in decades." That night, as Lucy prepared for bed, Admiral Patterson summoned her to his office. The Admiral sat behind a desk that hovered above the floor, surrounded by holographic displays showing cadet performances. "Cadet Winters," he said as she entered, "your assessment results are unexpected." "Thank you, sir," Lucy replied, standing at attention. That wasn't a compliment. The Admiral manipulated the displays, bringing up her results compared to Academy averages. "These numbers suggest either our equipment is faulty or humans possess capabilities beyond our intelligence reports. We evolved on a challenging world, sir." "Indeed." The Admiral studied her with new interest. "The question now becomes, what shall we do with you? The standard curriculum may not be sufficient." Lucy met his gaze steadily. "With respect, Admiral, I didn't come here for special treatment. I came to prove that humans belong among the stars, alongside every other species in the Federation." For the first time, Admiral Patterson smiled, revealing teeth like polished stone. "Very well, Cadet. Let's see what you're truly capable of." The first week at the Galactic Federation Military Academy tested every cadet to their limits. For most species, a carefully designed training regimen pushed bodies and minds to the breaking point. For Lucy Winters, it barely caused her to. Sweat dawn came early on the Academy moon. Lucy woke before the alarm, her body already adjusted to the new schedule. She completed her morning routine while her podmates still slept, their bodies requiring more rest than her Deathworld physiology. "You're always up so early," mumbled Olivia as Lucy prepared to leave. The low-gravity specialist looked exhausted, her silvery skin dull from fatigue. "How do you do it?" Lucy shrugged. "On Earth, we say the early bird gets the worm." "What's a worm?" Olivia asked, but Lucy had already left for morning training. The training field stretched across a massive dome, with various obstacle courses designed to challenge different physical abilities. Sergeant Frank Miller waited for the cadets, his muscular body marked with scars from countless battles. His skin was a deep orange, and 3 yellow eyes narrowed as Lucy approached. "Well, if it isn't our Deathworld specimen," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Ready to quit yet, Winters?" "No, sir," Lucy replied, taking her place in formation. "We'll see about that." Sergeant Miller paced before the assembled cadets. "Today, we begin endurance training. 10 laps around the gravity-shifting track, followed by the mud course, followed by the climbing wall. Anyone who fails to complete the circuit does it again until they succeed or collapse trying." The cadets exchanged nervous glances. Lucy remained impassive. "Begin!" Sergeant Miller shouted, starting the timer. The cadets took off running. The track changed gravity settings every 100 meters, shifting from lighter than Earth normal to twice as heavy. For most cadets, the heavier sections felt like running with weights strapped to their bodies. For Lucy, it felt like home. She paced herself, running steadily as other cadets began to struggle. By the 5th lap, cadets were dropping out, gasping for breath in their species-specific ways. By the 8th lap, only Lucy and 3 others remained on the track. "Look at the human," one cadet whispered to another, as Lucy completed her 10th lap without visibly tiring. "She's not even breathing hard." The mud course came next, a pit of thick, clinging substance that pulled at limbs and made each step battle. Lucy moved through it methodically, her Earth-evolved muscles easily overcoming the resistance that left other cadets floundering. When she reached the climbing wall, Sergeant Miller was waiting, his expression unreadable. "Impressive, Winters," he said quietly. "But the wall will stop you. 50 meters of smooth surface with minimal handholds. Even our best climbers struggle with it." Lucy studied the wall, then began to climb, where others needed to rest between movements. She ascended in a continuous flow, finding purchase where there seemed to be none. Her fingers, evolved to grip tree branches and cliff faces on Earth's varied terrain, found tiny imperfections in the supposedly smooth surface. When she reached the top, the entire training group had fallen silent. Sergeant Miller's 3 eyes were wide with disbelief. 7 minutes, 22 seconds for the entire circuit, announced an automated voice. New cadet record established. That afternoon, hand-to-hand combat training began in the combat arena. Instructor Karain Mason, a compact woman with enhanced cybernetic limbs, paired cadets based on size and apparent strength. "Winters," she called. "You're with me. Let's see what they teach on Earth." The other cadets formed a circle around them. Lucy took a defensive stance, remembering her briefing on academy protocols. Instructors often tested promising cadets personally, but cadets were expected to show restraint. "Don't hold back," Instructor Mason said, noticing Lucy's hesitation. "I'm combat enhanced. You can't hurt me." Lucy nodded and adjusted her stance slightly. Instructor Mason attacked with blinding speed, her cybernetic limbs carrying her across the mat faster than most eyes could follow. To the watching cadets, it seemed the instructor would overwhelm the human instantly. But Lucy moved, sidestepping with a quickness that made several cadets gasp. The instructor's attack met empty air. She spun, launching a combination of strikes that had defeated countless opponents. Lucy blocked or evaded each one. "Good reflexes," Instructor Mason said, breathing slightly harder. "But defense alone won't win battles." Lucy nodded, then moved. The watching cadets couldn't follow what happened next. One moment Instructor Mason was advancing. The next, she was on her back, Lucy standing over her with a look of concern. "Instructor?" Lucy reached down to help her up. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Instructor Mason took Lucy's hand, but winced in pain as she stood. Medical scans later revealed a hairline fracture in her cybernetic-enhanced arm, something that should have been impossible from cadet-level training. Of the incident spread quickly through the academy. By evening meal, cadets from all years were finding excuses to pass by Lucy's table in the dining hall. "You've become quite the celebrity," said Zoe as she sat beside Lucy. "Breaking records, breaking instructors. What's next?" Lucy focused on her food, uncomfortable with the attention. "I'm just doing what comes naturally." "That's what scares them," Greg said, joining them. His earlier disdain had evolved into cautious respect. "What comes naturally to you is impossible for most of us." After the evening meal, Lucy was summoned to the Tactical Training Center. She found Captain Martinez waiting with another officer, a woman with short gray hair and sharp features. "Cadet Winters, this is Captain Susan Wright, our weapons training specialist," Captain Martinez introduced. "Given your unique abilities, we're adjusting your training schedule." Captain Wright studied Lucy with keen interest. "I've reviewed your physical assessment data. Frankly, it's hard to believe you're not using enhancement technology." "I'm not, ma'am," Lucy said. "We know," Captain Martinez replied. "You've been thoroughly scanned, which makes your capabilities all the more remarkable." She activated a holographic display showing various training simulations. "We're moving you to advanced tactical training immediately. Captain Wright will oversee your weapons qualification personally." The next morning, Lucy reported to the weapons range before dawn. Captain Wright was waiting with an array of Federation standard weapons. Most first-year cadets spend weeks on basic marksmanship, Captain Wright explained, handing Lucy a standard-issue pulse rifle. Let's see if your aim matches your strength. Lucy examined the weapon carefully, noting its balance and design. It was heavier than Earth weapons, but followed similar principles. The target will appear at random distances and positions, Captain Wright explained. Standard qualifying score for first years is 60% hit rate. Lucy nodded and took position. When the simulation began, targets materialized throughout the range, some close, some at extreme distances, all moving at different speeds. Lucy tracked, aimed, and fired with a fluidity that made Captain Wright stare in amazement. When the simulation ended, the captain checked the score. 98% accuracy, she said quietly. That's higher than most fourth-year cadets. Word of Lucy's achievements continued to spread. Some cadets began to seek her out, curious about Earth and its harsh conditions that produced such capabilities. Others avoided her, intimidated or resentful. One evening, 3 weeks into training, Lucy found a message on her datapad. It was from Admiral Patterson, requesting her presence at the Academy's most notorious training facility, the Crucible. The Crucible was an underground complex designed to push cadets to absolute failure. No first year had successfully navigated its challenges in decades. Most weren't even permitted to try until their third year. Lucy arrived to find Admiral Patterson and several senior instructors waiting at the entrance. Cadet Winters, the Admiral said, your performance has been ... noteworthy. We've decided to accelerate your training schedule. The Crucible isn't for first years, objected one instructor, a veteran with mechanical legs. Exceptions can be made, Admiral Patterson replied, his forearms crossing in a gesture of finality. Winters, this facility will test you beyond anything you've experienced so far. Are you prepared? Lucy looked at the dark entrance, then back at the Admiral. Yes, sir. Very well. The Admiral handed her a standard equipment pack. The current record for first completion is held by Cadet Ryan Baker, a third year. 47 minutes, 16 seconds. Lucy entered the Crucible alone. Inside, darkness enveloped her. Earth-evolved eyes adjusted quickly. Another Deathworld advantage. The course began with a flooded tunnel, followed by vertical shafts electrified, barriers and combat drones programmed to incapacitate. Lucy moved through each challenge methodically. Where other cadets would struggle for breath in the underwater sections, her Earthborn lungs easily handled the oxygen deprivation. Where others would be slowed by the changing gravity fields, her muscles compensated almost automatically. When she emerged from the exit, covered in the synthetic mud and minor scrapes, the instructors checked their timers in disbelief. 26 minutes, 42 seconds, Admiral Patterson announced, his voice carrying a note of awe. A new Academy record. That night, as Lucy returned to her quarters, she found a small group of cadets waiting for her, led by Zoe and a tall human-looking cadet she hadn't met before. Lucy, this is Eric Johnson, Zoe introduced. Midterm examinations approached rapidly at the Galactic Federation Military Academy. For most cadets, this meant increased study hours and anxiety-filled practice sessions. For Lucy Winters, it meant dealing with a new kind of attention she had never wanted or expected. The Academy's news feeds regularly featured updates on her training progress. Cadets from all years now recognized her in the corridors. Even staff members from other departments found reasons to observe her training sessions. Lucy tried to ignore the attention, focusing instead on the study group she had joined. The Midterm Ranger qualification course is next week, Eric Johnson said as their study group gathered in a quiet corner of the Academy library. 6 cadets had formed this tight-knit circle, with Lucy and Eric at its center. No first year has passed it in 15 years. And no one expects us to, added Zoe, her purple hair moving slightly as she spoke. It's designed for 3rd and 4th years. Lucy studied the course specifications on her datapad. What exactly does it involve? Everything, Eric explained. Survival skills, weapons proficiency, tactical decision-making, leadership assessment, and a final combat simulation against programmed opponents using live fire settings. Live fire? Lucy asked. They use actual weapons? Low-powered, but yes, Greg confirmed. He had become one of Lucy's unlikely supporters after witnessing her accomplishments. The hits still hurt enough to teach you to avoid them. Lucy nodded. Considering this information, has anyone seen the course layout? It changes every year, said Maria Rodriguez, another study group member with dark hair and eyes that shifted color with her mood. But word is this year includes a section with elevated radiation levels. The group fell silent. For most species, in the Federation, radiation exposure meant immediate medical treatment and possibly permanent damage. Even the lowest settings used in training would be dangerous. Lucy didn't share their concern. Earth's background radiation and ozone layer issues had, over generations, given humans unusual resistance to radiation exposure. It wasn't something she had thought to mention before. It was simply another unremarkable aspect of being human. Following morning, Lucy was summoned to Captain Martinez's office. The captain's scales had taken on a bluish tint, which Lucy had learned indicated serious concern. Cadet Winters, are you planning to attempt the Ranger qualification course? Captain Martinez asked without preamble. Yes, ma'am, Lucy replied. It's not required for first years, the captain said. In fact, it's discouraged. The failure rate is nearly 100% for anyone below 3rd year status. Lucy stood at attention. I understand, ma'am. I'd still like to attempt it. Captain. Martinez studied her for a long moment. Your performance thus far has been ... exceptional. But the Ranger course tests more than physical capabilities. It requires experience and judgment that comes with time. With respect, Captain, I'd like the opportunity to find out if I have those qualities. The captain's scales shifted to a lighter blue. Very well, but be aware that many will be watching. Your success or failure carries implications beyond your personal record. Lucy understood the unspoken message. As the first human at the Academy, her performance would affect how future human candidates were viewed. It was a responsibility she hadn't asked for, but couldn't avoid. The day before the Ranger qualification course, Lucy's study group met one. Final time. They had spent weeks preparing together, sharing knowledge and techniques from their diverse backgrounds. Lucy, Eric said as they were finishing their session, there's something you should know. Some of the upper year cadets aren't happy about your success. I've noticed, Lucy replied. She had caught the whispers, the calculating looks in the training halls. It's more than that, Zoe added, her hair curling anxiously. We've heard rumors that a group of them might try to sabotage your equipment tomorrow. Lucy considered this. Information calmly. Thank you for telling me. I'll do a thorough check before the course begins. The morning of the Ranger qualification course arrived with an unusual buzz of activity. Word had spread that the human first year would be attempting the notoriously difficult challenge. Cadets, instructors, and even some Federation officials gathered to observe. Lucy arrived early to inspect her assigned equipment. As she suspected, her oxygen recycler had been tampered with, its filter partially blocked. Her navigation system showed subtle programming errors that would have led her off course at critical junctions. She fixed what she could and reported. The rest, resulting in replacement equipment being issued. Admiral Patterson personally oversaw the final equipment check. Cadet Winters, he said, his forearms methodically examining her gear. Are you certain you wish to proceed? This course has broken seasoned cadets with years more experience than you. I'm ready, sir, Lucy replied. The admiral nodded once. Then proceed to the starting point. You have 6 hours to complete the course. Good luck. The Ranger qualification. Course began in a simulated alien jungle environment, dense with vegetation and atmospheric conditions designed to disorient. Lucy moved steadily, her Earth-evolved senses helping her navigate the deliberately confusing terrain. The first challenge came in the form of camouflaged trap spits, snares, and trigger mechanisms that would release incapacitating agents. Lucy spotted most before triggering them, her eyes catching the subtle disturbances in the environment that others might miss. 2 hours in, she reached the radiation zone. Warning signals flashed on her equipment, advising immediate retreat. Lucy checked her dosimeter and continued forward. What would be dangerous for most species was merely uncomfortable for her. Inside the radiation zone, she found the first objective, a simulated crashed spacecraft with injured holograms representing wounded comrades. The extraction challenge required carrying the wounded through the radiation zone while under simulated enemy fire. Lucy completed the task methodically, her Deathworld strength allowing her to carry loads that would require multiple cadets of other species. As she exited the radiation zone, she noticed a group of instructors watching with scanning equipment. They seemed shocked by her radiation readings' high exposure, but no visible ill effects. The tactical portion of the course came next. Lucy faced a series of combat scenarios against programmed opponents, using training weapons that delivered painful but non-lethal energy pulses when they hit. Here, her reflexes and instincts gave her a significant advantage. She moved through the combat zones with a fluid efficiency that left observers stunned. In the leadership assessment section, Lucy was given command of a small team of training drones programmed to simulate various species with different capabilities and limitations. The scenario required completing a mission while keeping all team members safe. A test of judgment and decision-making under pressure. Lucy drew on her study sessions with her diverse group of friends, applying what she had learned about different species' strengths and vulnerabilities. Her approach wasn't perfect, but she demonstrated an understanding that impressed the evaluation officers. As the final hour approached, Lucy entered the culminating challenge, a live-fire combat simulation against the Academy's most advanced training drones. These machines moved with near-sentient intelligence, using tactics that had defeated many fourth-year cadets. Lucy relied on instincts, honed by millions of years of human evolution on a predator-filled planet. She used cover effectively, conserved ammunition, and anticipated the drone's movements with uncanny accuracy. When the simulation ended, she stood in the center of the combat zone, surrounded by deactivated training drones. The timer stopped at 5 hours, 17 minutes. Lucy had completed the course well under the allotted time, with performance metrics that placed her in the top percentile of all cadets who had ever attempted the challenge, regardless of year or species. As she exited the course, Lucy found a crowd waiting. Admiral Patterson stood at the front, his expression unreadable. "Cadet Winters," he said formally, "your performance will be evaluated in detail, but preliminary results indicate you have passed the Ranger qualification course. This is unprecedented for a first-year cadet." A murmur ran through the gathered crowd. Captain Martinez stepped forward, her scales now a deep purple that indicated profound respect. "More than passed, Admiral," she said. "Cadet Winters has achieved the third highest score in Academy history for this course." That evening, as Lucy returned to her quarters, exhausted but satisfied, an emergency alarm blared throughout the Academy. The announcement system activated with urgent instructions. All medical personnel to Docking Bay 3, Training Vessel Horizon, experiencing critical systems failure. Radiation containment breach reported. Without hesitation, Lucy changed direction, running toward the emergency. When she arrived at Docking Bay 3, chaos reigned. A training ship had returned with severe damage to its radiation shielding. 3 cadets were trapped inside a compartment flooded with lethal radiation levels. "We can't reach them," a medical officer was explaining to Admiral Patterson. "The radiation levels will kill anyone who enters within minutes. Remote drones are being prepared, but they'll take at least 20 minutes to arrive." "The cadets won't survive that long," another officer reported grimly. Lucy stepped forward. "I can go in." All eyes turned to her. "Impossible," the medical officer said. Lucy spent 3 days in the Academy Medical Center, recovering from radiation exposure. The medical staff observed her with fascination as her body repaired radiation damage at rates that defied their understanding of biology. What would have killed most species or left them permanently injured seemed to be merely a temporary setback for the human. On the 4th morning, Lucy woke to find Admiral Patterson standing beside her bed. His 4 arms were clasped behind his back in a formal posture. "How are you feeling, Cadet Winters?" he asked. "Much better, sir," Lucy replied, sitting up straighter. "When can I return to training?" The Admiral made a sound that might have been a chuckle. "Eager as always. The medical team tells me you'll be released today. Your recovery has been educational for our xenobiology department." Lucy nodded, unsure how to respond to that. "Your actions saved 3 lives, the Admiral continued. "The Federation Council has been notified. They're taking a keen interest in your progress now." "I just did what anyone would do," Lucy said quietly. "No, Cadet. What you did is what only a human could do. That distinction is becoming increasingly clear." The Admiral's expression grew more serious. "Which brings me to the reason for my visit. The legendary Pinnacle Trial is scheduled in 3 weeks." Lucy had heard whispers about the Pinnacle Trial, the most challenging test in the Academy's 500-year history. A comprehensive assessment of combat skills, tactical thinking, endurance, and leadership. It was typically reserved for final-year cadets who had distinguished themselves throughout their Academy career. No first year has ever been permitted to attempt it, Admiral Patterson said, "until now. You've been approved as a special case." Lucy's eyes widened slightly. "Thank you for the opportunity, sir." "Don't thank me yet," the Admiral warned. "The Pinnacle Trial has remained unbeaten for 5 centuries. The record was set by Commander Darren Phillips in the Academy's first year of operation. No one has surpassed his performance since." After being released from the medical center, Lucy returned to find her status at the Academy dramatically changed. Her rescue of the 3 cadets had transformed opinion almost overnight. Where some had viewed her with suspicion or resentment, now she received nods of respect in the corridors. Instructors who had once seemed determined to see her fail now offered additional training sessions. News of her upcoming participation in the Pinnacle Trial spread quickly. That evening, her study group gathered with a new sense of purpose. "We need to help you prepare," Eric said, spreading historical data about the Pinnacle Trial across the table. "This is bigger than just a training exercise." "What do you mean?" Lucy asked. Maria leaned forward, her mood-changing eyes now a deep gold of seriousness. "The Federation Council members are coming to witness your attempt. This has become a test case for humanity's place in the Federation." Lucy felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "I didn't ask for this." "No one ever asks to be first," Zoe said, her purple hair moving gently. "But here you are anyway." The group worked late into the night, studying what little information was available about the Pinnacle Trial. Records were deliberately vague, as the trial changed somewhat each year, but certain elements remained constant. Extreme physical challenges, complex tactical scenarios, leadership under pressure, and combat against the Academy's most advanced training systems. "Commander Phillips's record has stood for 500 years, Greg noted. "Whatever you face, it will be designed to push beyond normal limits." Over the next 2 weeks, Lucy trained with singular focus. Each morning began with physical conditioning that would have exhausted most cadets by the first hour. Afternoons were spent in tactical simulations and combat training. Evenings were dedicated to studying with her group. Captain Susan Wright took a special interest in Lucy's preparation, offering advanced weapons training beyond the standard curriculum. The Pinnacle Trial weapons section uses prototype systems, Captain Wright explained during one session. They're deliberately unfamiliar to test adaptability. Lucy nodded, absorbing the information as she disassembled and reassembled various Federation weapons with increasing speed. Her hands, evolved on Earth to create and use tools, moved with natural precision that amazed the weapons instructor. 1 week before the trial, Lucy was studying Commander Phillips's record when she noticed something odd. "The timing doesn't make sense," she said to Eric, who was working beside her. According to this, Phillips completed certain sections faster than physically possible, even accounting for different species' capabilities. Eric frowned, examining the data. "You're right. It's almost as if ... As if the course was different then," Lucy finished, "easier in some sections." The realization spurred a new line of investigation. Lucy and her study group began comparing historical records of the Pinnacle Trial, looking for patterns and changes over time. "Look at this," Zoe said 3 days later, highlighting a section of an old training manual. The original trial was standardized based on average Federation species capabilities. But over time, they've adjusted it based on the highest performing species for each section. So today's version is significantly harder than what Commander Phillips faced, Maria concluded. Lucy absorbed this information silently. The trial had evolved over centuries to become nearly impossible by deliberately combining the most challenging aspects for each species. No wonder the record had stood unbroken. The day before the Pinnacle Trial, Admiral Patterson summoned Lucy to a private meeting. She found him in the Academy's historical archive, studying old holograms of previous trials. "Cadet Winters," he greeted her. "Tomorrow will be historic, regardless of the outcome. I wanted to show you something few people have seen." He activated a hologram showing a young officer, presumably Commander Phillips, completing the original Pinnacle Trial. Lucy watched carefully, noting the differences between that course and what she had prepared for. "The trial has evolved significantly," Admiral Patterson acknowledged, seeing her recognition. "Phillips was extraordinary, but he faced a different challenge than you will." "Why show me this, sir?" Lucy asked. The Admiral's forearms gestured. "To encompass the archives. Context, Cadet. History remembers results, not circumstances. Tomorrow, many important people will be watching, comparing your performance to a 500-year legacy without understanding how the challenge itself has changed." Lucy nodded slowly. "You're saying even if I fail to break the record, it won't be a fair comparison." "I'm saying that whatever happens tomorrow will be judged by those who may not appreciate the full context." The Admiral fixed her with awe. 3 of his eyes. "So make the context irrelevant, Cadet." The morning of the Pinnacle Trial dawned with unusual activity at the Academy. Federation Council representatives had arrived, along with military leaders from various member worlds. News feeds were broadcasting live updates, and the observation areas were filled to capacity. Lucy prepared methodically, checking her equipment with careful precision. As she did, a message arrived on her datapad from an anonymous source. "Sections 3, 7, and 10 have been modified beyond standard parameters. Difficulty increased by approximately 22%. She stared at the message, understanding its implications. Someone had deliberately made the already challenging trial even harder, specifically for her attempt. Whether from fear of her abilities or desire to see her fail, the message was clear. The odds were being stacked against her. Lucy deleted the message without sharing it with anyone. She completed her preparations and recorded to the starting area, where Admiral Patterson and a delegation of Federation officials waited. Cadet Lucy Winters, announced a formal-looking official with silver skin and elaborate ceremonial markings. You stand before the Pinnacle Trial, the ultimate test of a Federation officer's capabilities. In 500 years, no one has surpassed Commander Darren Phillips's benchmark of excellence. Are you prepared to attempt this challenge? Lucy stood at attention, feeling the weight of countless eyes upon her. Yes, sir, I am ready. Admiral Patterson stepped forward, performing the final equipment check himself. As he did, he spoke quietly, for her ears alone. Remember your training, trust your instincts, and show them what a Deathworlder can do. The starting signal sounded, and Lucy entered the trial course. Immediately, she sensed the differences from the training simulations. The gravity was heavier, the atmospheric mix thinner, the lighting designed to strain her vision, all calibrated to push her earthborne advantages to their limits. The first section was a combat course with automated opponents that adapted to her fighting style. Lucy moved through it with the fluid efficiency that had become her trademark, conserving energy while meeting each challenge directly. By the third section, one of those she'd been warned had been modified. The difficulty increase became apparent. Obstacle density had been increased beyond regulation, creating a nearly impassable barrier course. Lucy paused only briefly before finding a solution, using techniques that would never occur to non-Deathworld species. As she progressed deeper into the trial, Lucy drew on everything she had learned about herself and the Academy. Each section demanded different skills, from technical problem-solving to tactical decision-making to pure physical endurance. Throughout it all, Lucy maintained a steady pace, neither rushing nor hesitating. Silence filled the observation chamber as the final results displayed on the massive screen. Lucy Winters, first-year cadet from Earth, had just shattered a record that had stood for 500 years. The faces of the Federation officials showed a mixture of disbelief, awe, and for some, unmistakable concern. Admiral Patterson was the first to move, stepping forward with formal dignity. Cadet Lucy Winters, on behalf of the Galactic Federation Military Academy, I officially recognize your completion of the Pinnacle Trial with a new Academy record. Congratulations. The chamber erupted in applause and exclamations in dozens of languages. Lucy stood at attention, her breathing already returned to normal, despite having just completed the most challenging course in Federation history. She felt a strange mix of pride and discomfort at being the center of so much attention. Federation Council member Victoria Hayes pushed through the crowd toward Lucy. She was a tall, elegant woman with pale blue skin and eyes that seemed to evaluate everything they saw. Remarkable performance, Cadet Winters, she said, her voice carrying the distinctive accent of the Federation's central worlds. I must admit, when Earth was granted provisional membership, many on the Council doubted humans would contribute meaningfully to our alliance. It seems we underestimated your species considerably. Thank you, Council member, Lucy replied formally. I'm honored to represent Earth at the Academy. Honor is well and good, Councilmember Hayes said, lowering her voice slightly. But I'm more interested in potential. Tell me, are all humans capable of what you've demonstrated here? Before Lucy could answer, Admiral Patterson intervened smoothly. Council Member Hayes, Cadet Winters has just completed an exhaustive trial. Perhaps your questions could wait until after the official recognition ceremony? The ceremony took place that evening in the Academy's Grand Hall. All cadets and staff attended, along with the Federation delegation. Lucy, cleaned and dressed in a formal cadet uniform, stood on the main platform as Admiral Patterson presented her with the Pinnacle Medallion, an honor not bestowed in over a century, since no cadet had come close enough to the record to merit it. Cadet Winters has demonstrated exceptional abilities, Admiral Patterson announced to the assembled crowd. But more importantly, she has shown the qualities that define a true Federation officer: courage, determination, adaptability, and selflessness, in saving her fellow cadets at risk to herself. As the Admiral spoke, Lucy noticed Dr. William Harris, the medical officer who had first scanned her upon arrival, deep in conversation with Council Member Hayes and several other officials. They kept glancing in her direction with intense interest. After the ceremony, Lucy's friends surrounded her with congratulations. "You did it!" Zoe exclaimed, her purple hair practically vibrating with excitement. "You actually broke a 500-year record. And on a course they made harder just for you," Eric added, his voice carrying a note of indignation. "We confirmed it, those modifications were not standard," Lucy nodded. "I received an anonymous message warning me about it." "Someone inside the academy must have wanted to help you," Maria suggested. "Or wanted the challenge to be fair," Greg said. "There's a difference between difficult and impossible." The celebration continued into the evening, but Lucy found herself distracted. Throughout the event, she noticed various Federation officials watching her, speaking in hushed tones, making notes on their datapads. She felt less like a cadet who had accomplished something impressive and more like a specimen being studied. Late that night, when most cadets had returned to their quarters, Lucy received a message requesting her presence in Admiral Patterson's office immediately. When she arrived, she found not only the Admiral, but also Council Member High Z, Dr. Harris, and Captain Martinez waiting for her. "Cadet Winters," Admiral Patterson greeted her. "Please, sit down." Lucy took the offered seat, noting the serious expressions on every face. "Your performance today has raised significant questions." Council Member Hayes began without preamble. "Questions that go beyond Academy records." Dr. Harris activated a holographic display showing detailed biological scans. "These are your readings compared to Federation baseline standards," he explained. "Your bone density, muscle fiber composition, neural transmission speed, and cellular regeneration rate exceed not just the average, but the known maximums for any sentient species in the Federation. In other words," Captain Martinez continued, her scales a thoughtful blue-green, "humans from Earth appear to possess natural physical and possibly mental capabilities that surpass our most advanced species. We'd like to understand why, Council." Member Hayes said directly, "Is Earth truly as dangerous as classified? Were our initial surveys inaccurate? Or is there something else at work here?" Lucy considered her response carefully. "Earth is just home to us. What seems dangerous to other species is simply ... normal. We evolved to survive there, so we don't think of ourselves as exceptional. And yet, by Federation standards, you are," Admiral Patterson said. "Which brings us to the purpose of this meeting." He straightened in his chair, all forearms assuming a formal position. "The Federation Council is reconsidering Earth's classification and status based largely on your performance here." "They're afraid of us," Lucy realized aloud. A moment of uncomfortable silence confirmed her assessment. "Concern is not fear, Council," Member Hayes said carefully. "But yes, certain members of the Council have expressed reservations about a species with your capabilities becoming full members of the Federation without additional study and perhaps limitations." Lucy felt a chill at the word limitations. She thought of Earth, of her family and friends back home who had celebrated her acceptance to the Academy as a step toward humanity's bright future among the stars. "What exactly are you suggesting, Council Member?" Lucy asked, her voice steady. "Nothing has been decided," Hayes replied. "But I've been authorized to offer you a position as a special advisor to the Xenobiology Council. Your insights could help guide Federation policy regarding Earth and humans going forward." Lucy recognized the offer for what it was, a way to keep her under observation and influence her perspective on humanity's place in the Federation. "With respect," she said carefully, "I came here to become an officer, not an advisor. I believe I can best serve both Earth and the Federation by completing my training." Admiral Patterson made a sound that might have been approval. "Well said, Cadet." Council Member Hayes appeared unsurprised by the refusal. "As you wish. But this conversation is just beginning, Cadet Winters. The implications of your abilities extend far beyond Academy records." After the meeting concluded, Admiral Patterson asked Lucy to remain behind. "You handled that well," he said once they were alone. "But Hayes is right about one thing. This is just the beginning." "Of what, sir?" Lucy asked. "Of a fundamental shift in the Federation's understanding of humanity." The Admiral moved to a window overlooking the Academy grounds. "For centuries, the Federation has classified worlds and species based on our own standards. Earth was deemed a death world because no Federation species could survive there unaided. It never occurred to anyone that such conditions might produce beings with ... advantages." Lucy joined him at the window. "I never thought of myself as having advantages. On Earth, I'm completely ordinary." "That's what terrifies them," the Admiral said quietly. "The idea that an ordinary human can outperform their best." He turned to face her directly. "Which brings me to an important question. Were you truly performing at your limits today?" Lucy hesitated, then decided on honesty. "No, sir. I was being careful, holding back in certain sections." The Admiral nodded as if confirming a suspicion. "I thought as much. Your instincts were correct. Had you performed to your full capabilities, the reaction would have been even more pronounced. What happens now, sir?" "Now you continue your training. More humans will join you soon. The Federation Council has approved 5 more candidates for next term, despite the concerns of some members." The Admiral's expression became thoughtful. "The Federation is about to change, Cadet Winters. Change always brings resistance, but it's inevitable nonetheless." In the weeks that followed, Lucy returned to regular training, though nothing felt regular anymore. Instructors now asked her to demonstrate techniques for other cadets. Senior officers sought her input on training programs. Even Sergeant Miller, who had once seemed determined to see her fail, now treated her with a gruff respect. Her fellow cadets' reactions varied widely. Some, like her study group, remained steadfast friends, treating her no differently than before. Others maintained a wary distance, intimidated by her record-breaking performance. A few seemed openly resentful, though they kept their feelings. Private. 1 month after the Pinnacle Trial, Lucy received a message from home. Earth's provisional membership in the Federation had been extended for another 5 years, a diplomatic way of delaying full membership while further cultural exchange took place. "They're stalling because they're afraid," Eric said when she shared the news with her friends. "Maybe," Lucy replied. "Or maybe they're being prudent. Humans are different from what they expected." "Different doesn't mean dangerous," Zoe argued, her hair curling with indignation. "No," Lucy agreed. "But it does mean change, and change takes time." 6 months later,